Okay, so I've just hit the run button. I'm going to run my application, and I'm going to enter some invalid data to see how my web form handles that. Okay, I threw an exception, obviously, in the program, a parse exception. Like we would have seen this type of thing, the format exception, many, many times. But look at what the user experience is. I'm going to pull up Firefox again, and this is what the user would see. Is the web page just kind of hanging there, unable to get the updated server page from the server because obviously the application server program threw an exception and is stalled. So the user just is waiting and waiting. So I am going to kill this web page and show you how to add a validator control to make sure that doesn't happen. So I'm obviously in the main interface, the main web form here, and I am in the toolbox. I'm going to scroll down to the validation category, and I'm going to expand that. And so we have these different types of validators. I think I'm going to do a range validator because I want a specific range of numbers in the height and the width. So this is pretty, not the height and the weight. So this is pretty straightforward. Just be careful setting it up because there are a few properties that you have to set in order for this to work. So I'm just going to plot my range validator right next to the text box for the inch. It doesn't have to be right next to it, but I'll put it there just because that's the one that's going to validate that text box. So I'll call this height validator. Change it to a nice name, and I think, what else? Okay, very importantly, the control to validate is going to be txt height. We can do another one for the width, and let's see. I'm being careful here because I don't want to miss anything. Okay, for the maximum value, let's say we want no more than 100 inches. That's even way taller than any human probably. So we'll say a minimum value of 0 and a maximum of 100 inches. And then let's see. Oh, there was an error message. I forgot that. So we'll say invalid height. Please re-enter. Okay, so that's your error message. And one more thing here. Oh, the type. Okay, I got burned on this when I was playing around earlier. If I leave this as string, which is the default, anything at all is just going to sail right through and not register as invalid. So you really have to be careful here. I'll go with double. Integer would probably work too, but I'll go with double just in case somebody wants to enter a fraction of an inch or something for their height. So yeah, there you have it. So that is set up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the calculate, and I'm just going to add this code. I'm going to say if, see, I only want to parse. I only want this code to come into play if the user entered something good. Otherwise, I don't want to even go here. Okay, so I'm going to sandwich this in an if statement. Okay. And we'll say if, what was that called? The height validator dot is valid. That's a is valid property. It's a Boolean property. So if the validator says, okay, this data is good, that'll have a true. If it's bad data, then it will have a false in here. So I only want, obviously, this to run if it's true. So that should work. Now I'm going to run this. I am expecting an error. And I want this to happen so I can show you how to get around it. It happened to me on my laptop and it happened to me here, and so that is why I want to reproduce it here. But let me just run this and see where we stand with the front end here. Okay, so now I'm running. You can see that the validator does not show on the web form. Okay, so now let's see. I'm going to try to calculate. Okay, this is the error I was hoping to see. And if you're going to use the validator, you have to do a map. You have to map to jQuery, which does not happen by default. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It is pretty easy. So I need to kill this. And what you're going to do, if you want to validate controls, you want to right-click on your solution or your project name in bold, and you're going to go here. This is not anything like we've ever done in the Windows Forms universe, but I'm going to go to Manage NuGet Packages, and you want to make sure you're in Browse, and I'm just going to type valid and see what comes up. Validate, where the heck is it? Oh, there it is. This was the error. I should have spent more time looking at it when it came up, but this is the error that came up in that web page that was talking about the jQuery error. So it's this one, Microsoft jQuery unobtrusive validation. So you are going to install this guy, and it won't take long. You accept the agreement. Okay, I guess that is okay. And one more thing, one more housekeeping thing here. You have to add, the package is installed, but you also have to right-click on your project name, and then you're going to add a new item. And you want to find this one, Global Application Class. I'm going to add a Global Application Class. This is just a code file, okay? And you're going to do two using statements at the top. You can copy them even from your main page. You need these two statements at the top of your Global Application Class. And then here is some code. I'm going to paste it right in from somewhere else. I'll make sure you have this, a copy of this application, so you can go into your Global Application Class. And I just found this on the internet. And you have to put this little thing in here to connect it to the jQuery in the, set the paths to those objects. Okay, so anyway, that should be all you have to do to get this up and running. So let me go ahead and run this again. Maybe I'll just build everything. Okay, here we go. I'm going to run this. Oh, I'm actually glad this happened. This is the reason this is happening. When you get this, I'm going to kill this window. It's because you're running your project, you're running your web page, but you're not on the web page. It's like I was running this file. So if you get that web page, just go, if you get that web page with the error, just go back to your front end in design view so you can see those controls. So I'm going to run this again, and I should not get that error this time. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to enter some kind of bogus height here. And we'll go ahead and calculate. Okay, and you can see it doesn't even get to the point where it's trying to parse those text boxes. It stops us and says it's an invalid height. Please enter. Please re-enter. So I'll re-enter a good height here, and hopefully that'll sail right through, and it does. So you know what? Maybe I'll just very quickly add the validator for the weight in pounds. The whole thing with the jQuery is set up in that, the package. So we only have to do that one time for the current application. If I were to do a brand new application, a brand new ASP.NET application, I would have to import that package again and go through that spiel again. But let me just very quickly, I'll add another validator. Again, I'll do a range validator, and I will call this height. No, it's the weight validator, this one. Okay. Okay, the weight validator, I will make the control to validate the weight. I will put the error message. I'll say invalid weight. Please re-enter. I will do the maximum value of, I don't know, this is totally arbitrary, 1,000 pounds. And very importantly, the type I need to change to double. I think that is it. That should be it. Okay, so I guess for this, I can say if height validator is valid, and I want them both to be valid, so that'll be an and weight validator is valid. Okay, they both have to be good in order for us to go ahead with the calculation and specifically the parsing of those text boxes. So let's go ahead and run that. We'll test it. Okay, here I am. So we already tested the height, so I'll put a good height in there. And then for the weight, I'll put a bogus value. Okay, and you can see it's stopping me on the weight. So the validator is working. So, and that was not a lot of effort. I mean, getting it up and running with the package installation was a little bit of overhead, but now you can see how easy it is. I mean, it wasn't a big deal in an application like this, but if you have a web form with like tons and tons of text boxes on it, and you want to make sure the user hits every one of them, and it enters valid data, then this is a really good, efficient way to do that with those validator controls. So that's your little taste of ASP.NET. Again, it's a huge area of study, but you can see you do have a lot of knowledge under your belt with what you've been doing in regular C# in the Windows forms, and a lot of that does translate. So don't shy away from this type of technology, because you already probably know quite a bit more than you think. It's just the web stuff is uncomfortable, the designer is uncomfortable, but hey, that comes with learning something new. You're going to have those periods of discomfort, and that means that you are learning. So embrace those periods and just get through them, because you're taking yourself to the next level.